Welcome to the Depth Dive. We dive into the sources to pull out the key insights for you. Today we're looking at major global conflicts unfolding this week, mid-June 2025. We're drawing from the Global Conflicts Mid-June 2025 review. Our mission: to get beyond the headlines, find those connections, understand what's really driving things. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's definitely a dynamic time. Everything feels very interconnected, doesn't it? An event over here can really send shockwaves everywhere else. So understanding the individual flashpoints is important, but also how they, how they link up.
That interconnectedness really hits home this week, especially with the Israel-Iran war. There's been a serious intensification. We had Israel launching Operation Rising Lion back on June 13th, hitting Iranian nuclear and military sites. And Iran didn't wait long, responding with Operation True Promise III, missiles, drones hitting Israel over several days. What's the immediate impact been like on the ground for civilians?
What's fascinating here is, well, maybe fascinating isn't the right word, but what's critical is this shift. Both sides seem more willing to escalate directly now. It feels like maybe a new phase, potentially more unpredictable. And the human cost is immediate, tragic. Hundreds killed or wounded. Sources are talking about 224 Iranians, over 200 Israelis, plus other civilian deaths. And those Iranian strikes, reports say they hit the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, plus cities like Haifa, Tel Aviv, Bnei Brak, schools damaged, homes.
And the rhetoric, here's where it gets really interesting. You have former President Trump calling for unconditional surrender from Iran, and PM Netanyahu in Israel explicitly talking about aiming for regime change. Is that just talk, or is there a real strategic shift happening, and what are the global ripple effects we're seeing already?
It's a really good question. I mean, that kind of high-level talk, especially paired with direct military action like this, it does suggest maybe the old red lines are being redrawn. The consequences are immediate. You see the U.S. bolstering its military presence there. Oil markets are definitely jittery. Brent crude jumped about 2% this week alone. And you've got the G7 putting out these urgent calls for de-escalation. So, yeah, global concern is high.
Right. And while the Middle East is obviously getting huge attention, we can't forget other crises. Let's shift to the Sudan's civil war. Still seeing intense fighting between the SAF, the Army, and the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF. Just this week, June 16th, the RSF reportedly seized Karb El Toum near Libya, and there was fighting around Baba Nusa too. What's the humanitarian picture look like?
It's grim. Tragically so. The RSF shelling hit IDP shelters, internally displaced persons in El Fasher. Reports say at least 35 deaths there. It just underscores the terrible civilian cost and, the desperate need for aid.
Okay, shifting again, different continent, Democratic Republic of Congo. The Goma offensive. Now, the really intense combat was back in January, but reports say the city is still largely under M23 control. And that alleged backing from Rwanda just keeps things simmering, doesn't it? Regional tensions.
Exactly. And you have UN forces, regional forces, still trying hard to prevent things from blowing up even more. But thousands are still being displaced. It's a huge regional security concern. It really shows how deep-rooted some of these conflicts are.
And finally, let's quickly touch on India-Pakistan tensions. Things escalated after that terror attack back on April 22nd. Both sides ramped up military preparations then. What's the situation now?
Well, thankfully, no major new skirmishes reported this week. But the tension is still incredibly high. Diplomatic hostility, definitely. Both sides are very much on alert. It's one of those situations that could flare up again very quickly. You always have to watch it closely. So, if we connect this to the bigger picture, what should you be watching? Definitely keep an eye on Israel-Iran, further strikes, any diplomatic moves. Hard to say. Keep watching the oil markets, obviously. The worsening situation in Sudan, especially displacement, humanitarian needs, any new reports out of the DRC fighting, civilian impact, and, of course, India-Pakistan. Any signs of that situation heating up again.
So what does this all mean for you watching these dynamics unfold? It really means seeing how fast things change and how connected everything is. It's not abstract. It's shaping the world right now.
Right. This raises an important question, not just what's happening, but maybe how quickly things can pivot. And how the impact of just one conflict stretches so far beyond its borders. It affects markets, it affects lives everywhere. Maybe the key takeaway is just how fragile global stability seems right now. It really demands we pay closer attention to these interconnected issues and their cascading effects.